Lots of photographers and filmmakers have a favourite lens, a focal length they return to shooting with time and time again. For Steven Spielberg it's a 21mm, for Annie Leibovitz it's a 35mm. Orson Welles liked the 18mm so much he shot the entirety of Touch of Evil with it. Now, I don't have a favourite lens. I like wide lenses and I like long lenses, but I do have a lens that I don't like, a lens that I try and avoid shooting with whenever I can. And it's a lens that other photographers seem to love, and I'm not quite sure why. Now, before you rush to hammer the dislike button and leave a negative comment because you've got a 50mm and you love your 50mm and how dare anyone have a difference of opinion, just give me a second to explain. Hundreds of articles and YouTube videos have been created about why every photographer should own a 50mm prime lens. And if you're just starting out in photography, how it should be one of the first lenses that you consider buying, and I agree with all of them. For learning photography they're great and you should definitely own one. With a fast 50mm prime you'll be able to see the effect that aperture has on your images far easier than you would do with the kit lens. You'll be able to impress all your friends and family by blowing out the background in every photo that you take from now on, getting that professional look. You can pick up a nifty 50 for around £100, and at that price you'd be a fool not to get one. Even if you were just going to leave it attached to your camera as a glorified lens cap so that you're always ready to shoot, it would still be worth the money. I have a feeling that so many photographers like this lens is because you can pick up a fast prime for a cheap price. You can get instant results with it, and you learn to think that the results are coming from the 50mm and it's a special lens in some sort of way. The learning curve is shallow. You can produce professional pictures quickly, or what you deem to be professional pictures quickly. People believe that the 50 is what's producing the results, that number is in some way special, whereas what they're actually enjoying is the f-stop. It's a crutch that you keep using time and time again, rather than taking the time to experiment with the other lenses, which are both more expensive to get started with, but are also more difficult. They have a steeper learning curve. Now, I have a confession. For a lens that I actually hate, I have two copies of a 50mm. I have one for Canon and one for Nikon. Maybe you're thinking, that's it, he's only used a cheap copy of the 50mm, and if he had a more expensive one, something like an F1.8, he'd be able to see the quality that this lens actually truly offers. But it's not the rendition of this lens, or the micro contrast, or any of that type of stuff that bothers me about this lens. It's actually the angle of view with it. I always find that I'm too close to fit everything in frame that I want, or I'm too far away and everything is really tiny in the image. The 50 sits in that middle ground. It's neither one thing or another. It's just boring. It's ready salted. It's vanilla. It's like meh, it's okay. It's not exciting. It's a get out of jail free card when you don't know what lens to use, slap on a 50, blow the background out of focus and distract everyone with that beautiful bokeh. They call the 50mm a normal lens because it has a similar look to how our eyes see the world. It doesn't have any of the wild distortion that a wide-angle lens has, or any of the compression that a telephoto lens produces. If I was a crime scene photographer, I'd pick a 50mm. It would be the best lens for creating an image that represented exactly what it looked like there on the scene. But if you're telling stories with your images, you can use the faults of the wide-angle lens or the telephoto to bring depth to your images, both literal and figurative. I realise that the concept of hating a lens is an absurd idea. That would be like hating hammers. They're just inanimate objects, they're a tool to get a job done. And I don't really hate this lens. I save my true hatred for things like wealthy equality, the cockchafer and broccoli. I just really, really, really dislike this lens. Maybe it's my fault, maybe I've just never taken the time to truly master this lens, and that sure is possible. Maybe I should embrace it and force myself only to shoot with this focal length until I truly understand why every other photographer likes it. And maybe one day I'll find a love of this lens. So many photographers can't be wrong. right? Okay, feel free to hammer the dislike button now and leave that nasty comment. I look a bit short in this video, don't I? Because I've pumped the chair down quite low